All right, so in this video, I'm going to share with you the things I wish I knew when I first started getting in shape. So number one is I got it all backwards with my workouts. Got it all backwards. I optimized for strength at the start when I should have optimized for increasing the range of motion in my joints. So that's a big mistake that pretty much everyone makes. I can't say everyone, but a lot of people make that mistake. Because if you go on Instagram and you see a guy with nice physique, you immediately want to optimize for that, right? You're like, oh yeah, he's got nice muscles, he's very lean, like he's got a six pack, all that stuff, and you optimize for that. But if I had my time to do again, if I go back 6 years, I would definitely start by focusing on my mobility and flexibility. Because once you increase your mobility and flexibility, now it's so much easier to add muscle to that, and you have better range of motion, meaning that you can sit in an arse to grass deep Asian squat easily, no problems. Like you can move your shoulders into flexion, right? Like it's easy for you to do these kind of things with your body. Like you don't have shoulder pain, you don't have any tight muscles because you've trained your body to be flexible and mobile. So your hips are working properly. You know, you have good internal rotation, external rotation. All of these phrases that I've learned since, mastering my craft more and more every single year. And you have to know that that is the most important thing, because look at the reality of the situation is maybe you're watching this video, maybe you've had tennis elbow, I've had a shoulder injury before, I've had sciatica before. And these are all because of the joints not being prepared properly and not being maintained, right? So I was just doing a lot of muscle building stuff, but I wasn't actually taking care of my joints. So that is one of the biggest things that I would do when I first started, if I had my time again, I would do. So the foundation is mobility, right? So that's joint work, right? What are you doing for your joints? Are you taking your joints through their full range of motion, taking your shoulder through its full range of motion, right? And are you taking your hips, all these joints through the full range of motion? And are you strengthening your end range? Are you strengthening, like, for example, your shoulders? Are you strengthening the rotation aspect of your shoulders? Stuff like that. So that's what I would focus on as a foundation. And that is something that a lot of people don't understand, they're not aware of, but that is actually how you bulletproof your body against injury. That's why you decrease the risk massively, is by preparing your joints. Because as we know, as we get older, we have less stability in our joints, typically, because most people are doing bench press and complaining about their shoulder hurting, but continuing to do bench press when really they should take the ego back a notch and just stop bench pressing and fix their shoulder and then go back. But most people don't do that. In fact, if you walk into any CrossFit gym, you'll see people with tubey grips on their elbows, on their knees, because their joints are fucked, right? But they're powering through with shitty joints. Like whenever I see someone with the tubey grip and they're still exercising, maybe they're recovering, but a lot of times they're injured, but they still want to train, so they're training through the pain. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is training through pain. Like never train through pain. If you feel pain, stop. Anyway, that's the biggest one. And so that's the biggest lesson that I learned, which is to start with mobility first. Because then if I did that, if I started with mobility first, took it seriously, I would be way ahead now. Like I am further ahead than I was 6 years ago, but I would be way further ahead if I started with mobility first, okay? So like, for example, can you sit on your heels comfortably? Like little things like that. Like that's mobility, right? A lot of people can't do that, especially the people that I help, they can't do that. And they can't do a deep squat comfortably because their hips are so tight. Hip flexors, all groin, adductors, all that, lower back, everything is tight, right? So this is, again, mobility becomes more important as you age. So if you're not taking care of it now, it's going to get worse as you age. Trust me on that one. So yeah, that was the biggest one. And then number two is nutrition, right? So I wish I knew that it was so simple. You just take the food pyramid and you just flip it upside down and just, that's it. That's it. That's your nutrition done. All the foods they tell you not to eat are the foods you should be eating. And this is a big, it's very hard for people to grasp this, because we've been so indoctrinated, and it's not a fault of your own, but it is, and once you become aware of it, now it's your fault to if you don't change it, right? So we've been so programmed to think that the powers that be actually want us to be healthy. Like, people actually believe that. And the reason why most people believe that is because we've been brainwashed by Big Pharma and all the news, like all these institutions. The programming in the matrix is real, right? I said the word matrix. That triggers people. Anyways, I hope we don't get cancelled for that. Anyway, but if you just let the food pyramid, right? So it's got carbs on the bottom. So if you flip that upside down, like it's got all the saturated fat, butter, all that stuff at the top, red meat. Flip it upside down. Now that's all at the bottom. So if you start eating that kind of food, your health issues will go away. Like for me, I used to have loads of spots on my head, and I used to be addicted to sugar, and I just wasn't having much energy every day, even though when I started getting in shape, I was still eating a lot of carbs, and I was eating lean meats, right? And I was getting in shape, but I wasn't actually improving my health, right? And so it wasn't until I decided to stop doing that and start eating more red meat, start eating more butter and more seafood, bone broth. That's when my health started to take a change. And I got way healthier. My energy went up crazy high, and my libido went up, my testosterone went up. And that's how that happened, right? So literally take the food pyramid, flip it upside down, and that's it. That's very simply done. But to do that, you need to change your beliefs. So, for example, I was brought up to believe that low-fat diets are the best. Now I believe that low-fat diets are the worst, because low-fat diet leads to you eating a lot of sugar and a lot of processed food because you're never feeling full, because you're not satiated enough, and also leads to issues with your mentality as well, because your brain is 60% fat. So you need to be giving your brain saturated fat in the form of meat, seafood, eggs, avocados, nuts, these kind of foods, olive oil, salmon, these kind of foods. You need to be giving your brain fat, because your brain functions on fat. If you're an entrepreneur watching this, you're a CEO of a company, you need to be sharp. You need to make few decisions, but you need to make solid decisions. So that means you need to have mental clarity. You don't want to have brain fog, okay? And how you have a sharp mind is by feeding your mind with the nutrients and minerals that it needs to function at its optimal best. And this is why you flip the food pyramid upside down and you eat the foods that contain a lot of protein, a lot of saturated fat, cholesterol. You need your cholesterol to be high. Don't listen to what they say about all this crap about, high cholesterol is bad. High cholesterol is only bad if you're eating the way the food pyramid tells you to, and you're eating lots of processed crap, lots of carbs, lots of all that kind of food, right? Because high cholesterol, essentially what it is without going into too much detail, basically you have small dense particles and large particles in LDL. LDL is comprised of two things, right? Small dense particles, large particles. The large particles are harmless. The small dense particles are the ones that cause issues, okay? And if you have a lot of small dense particles, because you're eating lots of sugars, you're drinking lots of alcohol, that's going to lead to inflammation and oxidization in the actual artery wall. And then what's going to happen is cholesterol is going to come, the HDL is going to come and form a plaque around that. And it's quite complicated, but I got a video on this if you want to check it out. It's with the author of the book, The Great Cholesterol Myth, and he breaks it down for you in layman's terms so you understand why most doctors use the outdated LDL test, and it's not the true indicator of heart disease. And he breaks it down. It's a rabbit hole, and if you actually want to learn, if you're open-minded, go and learn the truth, right? Because if you take a step back and realize that actually there's way more money in treating someone for a chronic illness like cancer, heart disease. There's way more money in that than there is in someone being healthy. Think about that. Like, there's way more money in that industry. So why would these big companies want people to be healthy? Look at all these big companies in the supermarket. Like, I tell my clients, you go and shop on the periphery of the supermarket. Don't shop in the middle aisles. Anyone who shops in the middle aisles and fills up most of their trolley with stuff from the middle aisles of the supermarket, I can already tell you that they're overweight and they got bad relationship with food because they're eating processed food. They're eating energy. They're not eating nutrients. All the nutrients are on the outside of the supermarket. At the back, at the sides, and at the front is all the fruit, but they also have bakery at the front as well. But yeah, if you just shop on the periphery, the sides and the back, you'll be fine. okay, for the most part. So those are the two biggest things, right? So mobility, focusing on improving how I move, and also focusing on eating nutrient-dense food, flipping the food pyramid upside down, and eating all the foods that they tell you not to eat. Literally, those two things are the things that I wish I knew when I started 6 years ago, when I started getting healthy and taking my health seriously, because those are the easiest levers to pull, right? And that will get you results fast. And that's literally what I help my clients implement, but that's essentially the basics, right? And of course, there's other things too, like the mindset side of things, and believing you can do it, and letting go of all the limiting beliefs that you have about this thing. But that is essentially all I wanted to share in this video, right? Those two things are what I wish I knew when I started, because that would have saved me so much time, so much money. I actually traveled around the world once I got injured so I was injured for a year in 2018, middle of 2018 to middle of 2019. I injured my shoulder. I was going up to slam dunk the ball, playing basketball, and it felt like I dislocated my shoulder. I didn't, but it felt like that because basically I was doing so much pressing work with my dips and bench press, and I was never doing any rotational work for my shoulders, nothing, no rehab for my shoulders. So my shoulders couldn't take it anymore, and it just like gave away, right? And so what happened was it was a partial tear of the tendon. It wasn't a full tear, it was like a partial tear, I think. And it was due to the fact that my internal rotation was really bad in this shoulder. So I had to do lots of internal rotation work. So if you can do that, put your hand behind your back, that's internal rotation, right? So I had to do a lot of sleeper stretch stuff. Anyway, lots of stuff like that. And now it's fine, no problems on the shoulder ever since that. And I had sciatica as well. So that was due to my poor hip rotation, external rotation in my hip. So the piriformis muscle was working too much, pushing against the sciatic nerve, gave me a sciatica. I couldn't walk for a month. Felt like a 90-year-old man. And it was the most agonizing pain I've ever been in my life. I don't wish that on anyone. Imagine like an electric shock walking down your leg every time you put pressure on your toe. Like the bathroom there's a door there, right? It would take me about 3 minutes to just walk to that door. That's how bad it was. And luckily I was here in Bali, so I found this guy called Bayu, and he came to my house and gave me the most excruciatingly painful massage of my life, but it helped alleviate some of the symptoms. And then I had some painkillers that I was on, because I had to obviously get around and eat food and stuff. And yeah, that was just a miserable time, like 1 month in that state. So yeah, I've been injured, and that's why I say focus on mobility. It's so important, And yeah, so if you want help with any of the things I shared, if you want help with implementing this for yourself, click the link below this video and book your free call with us, all right? So go ahead, you can do that, or you can get on the email list and go and watch the web class that I've got, the presentation that I've made specifically for you if you're an entrepreneur or a busy professional, on the 5 steps that I recommend you take, that I took to get in the best shape of my life and have increased energy all day and have sky-high levels of mental clarity so I can focus and get more work done in the work day. Okay, be more productive and have energy when I stop working and go and hang out. Or for you, if you want to hang out with your friends or your family, your kids, your wife, or your husband, whatever it is for you, all right? So if you want to get deeper help with this and you want to go and get help for yourself so you don't have these issues anymore, so you know that you're starting from the correct foundations. So in order to get in the best shape of your life and maintain it, and have joint health and longevity, because if you want longevity, you want to stay around for longer, you want to be able to play with your kids, you want to be able to like get down on their level or do a deep squat and play with them and stuff like that, you need mobility, right? And all of this stuff is what I help you with in my program. It's not just about the physical, it's about the mental as well. So I help you help you develop a better relationship with yourself as well, okay? So click the link below this video and go and get access to that, put your name and email in, and then, yeah, book your free call, all right? And I'll talk to you soon. My name is Aaron. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe as always. Share with your friends if you found this helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.